For 85 years, the Dark Knight has protected Gotham City from the likes of the maniacal, crazy Joker, the indecision coin flip of Two-Face, the puzzling puzzles of the Riddler, the vines and leaves and poisons of the eco defender or terrorist, Poison Ivy, lovely, the cold frozen heart of Mr. Freeze, and the insanity, craziness, unpredictability of Harley Quinn. But where did it all begin? Where was the Dark Knight 85 years ago? And how was he different then compared to how he is now? Well, let's take a look back at those early issues as we explore this review of Batman Volume 1 of the Golden Age. Okay, before everyone says how bad my impressions are in the comments, I get it. They were off the cusp. I didn't practice much. I was just having fun. Because, you know, Batman might be dark, but that doesn't mean we can't have fun with the character. He's done some pretty crazy things in his history. But with this video, like I said in the intro, I wanted to talk about this specific graphic novel, The Golden Age of Batman Volume 1. Now, if you've seen any of my other quick reviews, there's a series of these that I'm doing, as I finish them, that is. And I have to say, it was very interesting going back and comparing Batman as we know him now and his enormous rogues gallery compared to what was in here. And there were a lot of surprises too. Now, I will point out, this is something I know a lot of true Batman fans know, but if you look early on, you can see his first appearances, he didn't have gloves. Just a little interesting thing. Later on, they did become purple. Well, they were purple at one point, but they're a bluish here. But it's also fascinating, I think, to see that they specifically hyphenated Batman back in the day. But reading this, it's also interesting because the first issue is not specifically, well, I mean, you do have the famous cover, but it's not the origin story. That doesn't come along till later. Now, here, just for people who don't believe me, there's purple gloves, and that's not a misprint. But there's a lot of things that we just associate with Batman right off the bat. You know, we think of the Batcave. Batcave's not really in here. It was more of just a secret room that was behind a bookshelf, behind a secret panel. We're all very familiar with Alfred the Butler. Alfred's nowhere in here. Now, I have Volume 2, so we'll see if Alfred appears by then. I don't know if he actually appeared in the comics or if it was a radio thing, because I know with some of the Superman stuff, they created the stuff on the radio show. Like, I think Kryptonite came from there, I think. But the other thing that I found very interesting about these first couple issues was the fact that it really was more of a crime noir comic book and stories. Batman didn't go out and fight these interdimensional beings or these superpowered creeps. Most of the stories in here revolve around just gangsters and mob bosses. They're characters that don't even remember today. Now, it is interesting because one of the first, within, I think, the third or fourth issue, we do get one character that we still have around and we know by name today. That's Hugo Strange. So I do find it kind of interesting that we all think of the Joker. We think of Two-Face, Riddler and Poison Ivy, like I said, and Mr. Freeze and all of them. Hugo Strange is actually the first big main villain that Batman fights that we still have today. We also have in here, we have Joker first appearing near the back part here. I forget exactly which issue it is that he shows up in. But he's definitely not the Joker that we know today. It's strange because he appears and then he disappears for a couple issues and then he comes back and then there's a lot of Joker. But it's not, the key takeaway from that is that Joker is not as big a character for Batman as we think. Yes, by today's standards, Batman and Joker is like Superman and Lex Luthor, or Spider-Man and the Green Goblin, if that's your thing, or I mean, for me, it'd be Spider-Man and Venom, or the Fantastic Four and Doctor Doom. But that wasn't the original case here, and I was surprised to see how quickly Robin showed up. I thought Robin came in, maybe 20 to 50 issues in or whatever. No, Robin, looking at this, I think he shows up like within the first 5 or 10 comics is when Robin shows up. So it's pretty interesting how quickly he shows up. And I mean, Bruce Wayne has a girlfriend in here. The Batmobile is just a car. And Bruce Wayne is actually really good friends with Commissioner Gordon. Now, I mean, to this day, as far as I know, Bruce Wayne is still friends with Commissioner Gordon. But here, it's like that's how he learns, what's up in the criminal world, who Batman needs to go after. He actually goes to crime scenes as Bruce Wayne with Gordon to see what's going on. He acts like, oh yeah, sure, I'm interested, which is another thing that kind of changes because it seems like Bruce later was like, I'm just the playboy, that's okay. Now, of course, these characters have changed so many times over the years that there's been multiple versions of Bruce Wayne and Commissioner Gordon and all those things. But I just find it interesting that, like, even in the very first page, it specifically says, you have Bruce Wayne talking to Commissioner Gordon, and it says, well, Commissioner, anything exciting happening these days? Very first panel, Commissioner Gordon's talking with Bruce. And I just found that interesting. I guess we know Batman and Commissioner Gordon are pals, but you kind of forget at times that Bruce and Commissioner Gordon are friends as well. And that's established here from the very beginning. We do have Catwoman introduced, again, closer to the end of the series here, or at least the end of this graphic novel. If you didn't know, that's what the Joker originally looked like. And, I mean, you did have Batman dealing with, it wasn't magic, it was science, so, you had him dealing with hypnotism and mind manipulation. So I guess it wasn't exactly all crime noir, but it was scientific too. It was a scientific crime noir to it. And if I didn't mention, the origin doesn't come till later. It doesn't start with the origin story. So I just found it very interesting how many things we associate with Batman that, truth be told, aren't in here. Or they didn't show up until later. Primarily things like the Batcave, Alfred, the Batmobile, the close friendship that Bruce has with Commissioner Gordon, his girlfriend, who does play a big part in a couple of the issues. And it is interesting. I mean, if you didn't know, Batman started in Detective Comics and then got his own issue or his own series. But there's so many details in here that I can't remember every single little thing. But it's like I'm a broken record just to say it's not the same, and it's interesting to see where it began. Now, there is one issue I will point out that threw me off for a sec. And it was... I forget. I thought it was that. Sorry. But there is one issue that's like, wait, this seems really mythical. I'll just say it, it's a dream. It's a dream issue. But I definitely liked, like I've said, seeing where Batman began, thinking these stories came out 85 years ago. These are the stories that we have to thank for giving us Batman, for introducing us to the character. And these set the stage for everything that was to come. So, do I recommend this? If you can't figure it out, yes, I do. I will say it was a little tough for me getting through it because, like I said, there's so much in here that's just crime noir type stuff, especially when we're so used to the more colorful characters. But it's a good read. It's interesting. And I would definitely recommend picking up this if you get the opportunity, especially if you're a huge Batman fan. So, before I start repeating myself again and again, those are my thoughts on the Batman Golden Age Volume 1. And also, just the whole fact that Batman's 85 this year. Hard to believe. Seems like we're hitting a lot of milestones for a lot of different characters. But what are your thoughts? What interesting details about Batman's origins or history do you know? Maybe they're ones that a lot of comic book fans know, but you just really like. Have you read any of these original comics? It doesn't have to be this specific volume. If so, what did you think of them? Whatever your comments or whatever your thoughts, make sure to leave them down below. And remember, we're all Batman fans here. We're all comic book fans. And we all have our own version of Batman that we love. So, be respectful. But, as I always say, don't forget to hit that like button. And remember, read what you love, enjoy what you love, and let's all work for a better fandom. I'll see you next time, and I'm Batman.